Welcome to this explainer. We're going to jump right in today and travel back thousands of years to a scene that perfectly captures the heart of ancient Eastern philosophy. Just picture this. You've got a student and a teacher sitting quietly beside a wide, continuously flowing river. The air is perfectly still, but the water is rushing by in this massive, endless torrent. And right there, they're about to discuss a concept that literally still echoes through modern physics, mathematics, and spirituality today. So as they're sitting there, the student is just watching the river flow, and they voice this incredibly profound dilemma. They look at the sheer volume of water rushing past, and then they look up at the vastness of the universe. And the student asks, if this entire universe in all of its massive complexity poured out of a single original source, doesn't that mean the source is eventually going to run dry? It's a completely compelling, totally logical question, right? If a source birthed the cosmos, surely it has to be depleted by now.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The river's ancient question, sitting down near the truth. To really get the teacher's answer, we have to look at the text this whole dialogue comes from, the Isha Upanishad. The very word Upanishad actually translates literally to sitting down near. It paints the exact picture we just imagined, right? A student sitting down near a teacher to explore the fundamental nature of reality. So to address the student's worry about the universe running out of steam, the teacher introduces one foundational word, Purnam. It means absolute infinite wholeness or completeness. It's a state of being that lacks absolutely nothing. The teacher is starting with this profound concept of a wholeness that is entirely self-sufficient.
And that brings us to the Shanti mantra. This is the peace invocation recited before the main text of the Isha Upanishad even begins. Just listen to the meditative rhythm of these ancient words for a second.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shantih, Shantih, Shantih.
For thousands of years, students and teachers have chanted this exact verse beside rivers just like the one in our story, using that rhythm to settle the mind and really establish the foundation of the lesson.
Moving on to Section 2, the paradox of completeness, that and this.
Now, what's really interesting here is that when we translate this profound invocation into English, the student basically hits a brick wall. The text presents what looks like a glaring contradiction, and it uses two very simple pronouns, that and this. That refers to the unmanifest Brahman, the invisible ultimate source of absolutely everything. It's the silent origin. And then we have this, which refers to the manifest universe. It's everything we can actually see, touch, and measure. It's the flowing river, the trees, the stars, and us.
But here is where the paradox really hits the student. The mantra explicitly states that both that, the unseen source, and this, the physical universe, are Purnam. They are both infinite and complete. So the absolute crucial question is, how is it possible that two distinct things can both be the absolute totality? If the invisible source is literally everything, how can the physical universe also be everything? It kind of feels like we have two infinites competing for the exact same space.
Which leads us to Section 3, the math of infinity, taking the infinite from the infinite.
So here's the logical resolution to the student's big worry about the source depleting. The teacher uses a concept that modern mathematicians would totally recognize to explain a spiritual truth. It goes, the infinite proceeds from the infinite. Taking the infinitude of the infinite, it remains as the infinite alone. Let that philosophical weight sink in for a moment. The teacher is basically saying that the universe didn't just break off a little piece of the source. It poured out of it fully, while leaving the original source completely intact.
Let's walk through this mind-bending logic step by step to make it crystal clear. Step 1. The original source is infinite. Step 2. The universe arises from that source, and it too is infinite. Step 3. Even after giving birth to an infinite universe, the source remains completely infinite. Think back to our river analogy for a second. If you have an absolutely infinite ocean of water, and you scoop out an infinite amount of water to create a river, what's left in the ocean? It hasn't dropped by a single inch. It remains completely unchanged. It's still an infinite ocean.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates a concept that literally still gives modern calculus students a headache. Infinity minus infinity equals infinity. It's just fascinating, isn't it? These ancient philosophers, sitting in the dirt by a riverbed, effortlessly grasped the complex mathematics of infinity centuries before modern textbooks even tried to write formulas for it. They intuitively understood that the absolute isn't a pie you can slice up and run out of. It's a boundless reality.
All right, Section 4, Enveloped by the Divine, the first verse of the Isha Upanishad. So,
having firmly established this crazy math of infinity with the peace invocation, the teacher gestures outward to the physical world, to the trees, the ground, the rushing water, for the actual first verse of the Isha Upanishad. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyan jagat. The teacher is basically bridging the gap between the abstract concept of infinity we just talked about and the tangible, everyday reality the student is actually living in.
Breaking down the English translation, it says, all this, whatever exists in this changing universe, is enveloped by the Lord. The word they use for the universe is jagat, which implies constant motion and change, very much like our river. The teacher is explaining that this infinite source isn't just a distant origin point, like a big bang that happened billions of years ago and is now gone. Instead, it actively coats, permeates, and envelops every single drop of the changing river right now. The infinite is deeply woven into the fabric of the temporary.
And finally, Section 5, Finding Wholeness Today, the Relevance of Purnam. So, what does this all mean for us? Why does an ancient conversation by a river actually matter to our lives right now? Like, how do we take a philosophical lesson about infinity and apply it to our very busy, very modern Tuesday afternoons? Well, it matters because you are part of the complete whole. You are not separated from it. We so often live our lives from a mindset of scarcity. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough energy. But seeing the world through the lens of Purnam, absolute completeness, totally removes that illusion of scarcity. Because if the source is infinite, and the universe is infinite, and you are enveloped by that universe, well then you are inherently connected to an endless, abundant source. I really want to leave you with this final thought to carry with you today. If you woke up tomorrow and genuinely viewed your own life as Purnam, as fundamentally complete rather than constantly lacking or missing something, how would your reality change? How would you approach your work, your relationships, and your challenges? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope it sparks some curiosity to explore this ancient wisdom even further.